right, here we go. Okay, so today I have a patient of mine who's actually graduated, but this is Vaughn Hendrickson. He is a sophomore at Concordia University in Seward, Nebraska here. He is a cross-country runner, indoor, outdoor track runner and everything. And he is here to just kind of talk about his experience of what it was like coming to the clinic, and just what did we do differently? What kind of connected the dots to kind of go, oh, light bulb moment. And I don't have to work so hard to run as many miles as you do. So just kind of give us a rundown, Vaughn, like what was kind of going on, what brought you in here and that type of stuff.
Yeah, so initially I was kind of dealing with some Achilles pain towards the start of the season, and the season wasn't really going how my past seasons had gone, and I couldn't really figure out what was wrong. I was doing all the same training, I was eating right, sleeping right, hydrating, doing all the normal things, but I wasn't seeing the normal results, I guess. And so, I thought I'd give the Hruska Clinic a try, and immediately Anne noticed my form was off and I was wearing bad shoes. And so I was like, I guess I need to make this change right away, because I had been in some better shoes in the past, and that's when I had been my strongest, and I hadn't known that the shoes were playing such a big part.
Yeah.
And then, I started drifting into more of that cushiony sort of feel.
I can't even remember what shoe was it that you came in?
Oh, it was one of the Brooks. It may have been Hyperions or Ghost. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, but, I don't remember either. And I could tell a difference right away with the shoes. Like I can start to feel different things of my body that I hadn't really felt before.
Yeah.
And then we started working on some stretches to start activating the right muscles, because originally I was really having my calves strained a lot and my Achilles doing a lot of the work instead of having, my butt do the work when I'm running, which drastically changed my form, changed how I felt. I remember coming in one appointment and saying, like, I just kind of felt heavy and I was just kind of dragging along when I was running. And
your feet were like stuck in the mud.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was, And so we kind of fixed that, and I started wearing, my regular adrenaline shoes in workouts, and I could feel a huge difference. I mean, I was trying to wear some fancy workout shoe, that everybody thinks is really beneficial, and I just was not feeling the same results. And so that really helped, and I started to feel that I was pushing, I was light on my feet. I felt quick, all those things that you want to feel as a runner. And it made me start enjoying running again. It's hard when running doesn't feel right. So
yes. Yeah. Do you remember like when we changed your shoes, do you remember what the sensation was that you felt in your feet?
I felt more balanced, and it felt like it just felt balanced, and I felt the places in my feet that I was supposed to feel, when I was in the cushion, my feet couldn't get like the right feel that it needed when I was
feel
running.
The ground.
Right. And so it was hard for my body to adjust when I was running, because my feet couldn't feel the ground. It wasn't very stable, I guess. So.
Yeah. What did you take away from, all of our exercises have like the breathing component with it. And, you had never really thought about that, because you're like, I go run miles and miles and miles. Like, I'm fine. How do you feel like that changed your ability to improve times and efficiency with your running?
Well, breathing, doing those exercises, I would say it helps kind of relax you a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
especially those first few times, those exercises were hard. When you would give me new exercises, they were hard. And I really had to strain to be able to achieve those. I was out of breath. It was hard. But, taking those deep breaths, trying to relax really helps during a race too. Just staying
Yeah.
relaxed, staying focused. I think that was a huge part for me. I would say focusing so intensely, trying to do the stretch and breathing helped me
Mm-hmm.
focus during a race and focus on what I needed to when I was running, feeling the
Oh.
right mechanics working in my body,
Yep.
because initially before I had come in, I wasn't focusing on the right muscles. My body wasn't focusing on the right muscles. But when I started doing that, I could really focus in on pushing during the race instead of just kind of like dragging myself forward and making every step a chore to lift my foot.
Sure.
So,
Sure. When do you feel like that switch happened with like the races? Um, because I saw you were in the middle of season when you came in to see me, if I remember correctly. Um, when do you feel like that switch really started to happen where you're like, ooh, like my times are getting better. I feel like I'm kind of back to me.
yeah, so pretty quickly I started to notice a shift, and it seemed more gradual at first, so I didn't catch it. But
Hmm.
one of my teammates, after I all of a sudden, ran a season best out of nowhere by like 2 minutes, it was crazy. My teammate
Hmm.
was like, I could tell these past 2 weeks of training, you just looked strong, you looked healthy, you looked like you again.
Yeah,
And, that's when I realized, it switched very quickly, and I hadn't really noticed it because I just felt good, and, it felt like how it was supposed to feel.
sure.
So I didn't think much of it. So I would say, I think mid-season it would have been a month or so. And
Yeah,
then, I just really started, it was just like drastic changes very quickly after that.
yeah.
Things started
And
changing, and then it just kept getting better and better. So
yeah. Um, now Vaughn has graduated from PT right now. He's doing fantastic and stuff like that. What are some of the things that you have kept up? Because it's not like I'm asking you to do like 20 exercises every day, that you otherwise you're gonna fall apart. But what are things that you are still doing just to make sure that you still always feel good?
well, I've found a little bit that in the winter my muscles just get really tight and it
Mhm.
needs more time to activate. So I really focus in on some of the stretches that we've talked about before,
Yeah.
before I get out there and run, that my coach has kind of talked to you guys about as well. Some of those stretches I've focused on. And
And
even
just to clarify, they're not like full-blown stretches.
no,
Like, we're not
yes,
we're not trying to stretch a muscle.
right. It's
We're
just
trying to warm things
right.
up, get you to shift, find some muscles, learn how to shift, get your glutes going a little bit.
Yep, get them activated just so they
Yeah,
can start.
because you sit, you're in class, you're a
Right.
student.
Right. And so it's time to kind of like wake them up a little bit, I
Yeah,
guess, right before I go. And so that's kind of what I do to get ready on my run.
yep,
And if I do feel during the day that they need to get activated a little bit, I can just do
mhm,
them in class, and that
yeah.
works too. So
You've had a lot of variety to match you for whatever
yes,
situation you're in, even if you're on a run. I think I gave you a couple things where I'm like, here, go sit on a curb,
right.
go run up a hill backwards, anything of the sort like that to help that out.
And they're so
Uh,
simple that I can do them pretty much anywhere too, which is very nice. It's very convenient and
yeah, it's not
helpful.
all this crazy, gotta go to the gym, gotta have all these bands, all that type of stuff. Um, like a big thing with runners, we're always talking, you guys, your glutes are terrible. Okay. You guys don't know how to have glutes and everything. But the glute work that we did, it's not your typical glute work that you've done before. And don't quote me, but I don't even think your first day I even gave you glute work because you weren't even in a good position for it, you know? How, just you having been here, you got a right side, you got a left side, two different things. Okay. What was kind of an eye-opening experience for you when I was like, oh, well, you're not going to do that exercise on the other leg?
I was a little confused at first because I was like, well, I've always done stretches the same amount of time each way, exercises the same amount of times on each leg. And I was like, this is a little interesting. But, as I came back for more and more sessions, I realized, there's huge differences with how your body is, with how you were created,
Yeah.
your right side's a little bit heavier than your left side. And so you kind of have to balance it out a little differently. And I just had never known any of that.
Yeah.
Even though I'd been running for so long, it was a total new world for me.
Yeah. What have been some like key takeaway moments from, Lori, another therapist here? She came and talked to your guys' team, I think that's how you got exposed initially. And then having come here, what are things that you are constantly aware of or thinking about now that you're like, whoo, like this is a big deal?
Yeah, well, when she first came and spoke last year, I was just a freshman, I hadn't really known how important, this sounds bad, but I hadn't really known how important it was to have the right shoes, I was just getting shoes to run in at that time. And that kind of really opened my eyes. And then, as I started working here more at the clinic and doing some of those exercises, I realized, how important it is that your whole body is doing the right thing, because at first we just had to focus on, getting the glutes stronger. But then we talked about how like my neck was too far forward and I wasn't breathing right. And it really, the one area that was the problem was causing so much of the rest of my body to not do what it was supposed to. And I just didn't know how the mechanics behind that all work, that kind of everything flows together. And if one thing is off, the whole body is not working right,
Yeah. Remember those videos you had, like I think your dad took, and like
Yes.
teammates, of how like rigid you were and you didn't have like any arms moving. And then by the end, it was just like, super free.
Right.
All of that. It's such a big change just with as simple as changing your shoes.
Yes.
Okay. That's not treatment. That's a tool to help you get into a better spot. And a lot of it all comes back to, if you're not in a good position, you lose your ability to find your glutes, find these muscles to be able to push off and efficiently run. So now you got to work harder. That's why there's injuries, I mean, you brought in how many shoes? I mean, you brought in a lot of shoes that one day, and we could literally put them on your feet, not even have you walk, just sit down, put them on, get on the table. And you were like, yeah, nope, locks you up. You couldn't move. And so, think of how many miles your teammates, all of these other people are running. And if they're not in the right shoe, it's going to make things very, very inefficient. And then you as an athlete, you guys are always trying to beat your personal best.
Right.
Like, you're striving to get better. But you couldn't. You flat out couldn't do it. And you're like, but I'm doing everything right. And so it's such a huge thing for getting the right tools. So then you can learn how to use your glutes correctly. Okay, glutes are super, super important. Don't get me wrong, but unless you're in the good position, it's connected to your breathing. Okay, because you can do glute work and hold your breath, but that's not going to translate to you running. Okay, where you have to breathe. All of that connectedness. You said it perfectly. It's all connected and related. One thing could be affecting everything else. We have to look at you as a whole person, not just, ooh, Vaughn came in and here's his Achilles. Let's stretch his Achilles.
Right.
I don't think we ever gave you a true stretch for an Achilles.
And that is one difference that I found. I went to the trainer first about my Achilles, and that was what it was, just like, let's ice it, let's do this, let's do that. It was kind of all like Band-Aids for that, instead of you guys really were like, okay, let's look at the root problem. And if we can solve that, then you're not even going to have to worry about your Achilles at all, because it's not going to be overstrained, overworked.
Yep. Anything else that you kind of want to let people know about your experience, PRI, the clinic, anything of the sort like that?
I will say so kind of with how the season went, mid-season, after I had like the worst race of my life, I went in and saw you guys, and we had our next race. I think it was 3 weeks after that, and I wore the adrenalines for it, and it was much better. I felt like I was pushing. I felt much stronger, and it didn't take a lot of time, but I was focusing on switching my shoes, focusing on the breathing when I was doing those stretches. And I could really start to see those differences, and I can still feel that now as I'm training and working towards my indoor season. I'm really excited. So
no, it's awesome. We look forward to following you with all of your stuff and keep seeing how are his times, how are things going. But you put in the work. I'm just a person that just said, hey, this is what you need. You did it. And I think a big thing is we tailored it to you. You had some of your cross country teammates, they were coming here. You guys didn't have the same exercises. Everybody was doing different things that they needed, but also, you weren't coming in 2-3 times a week. It was like, here's 3-4 exercises, go work on it, and then come back 2, sometimes 3 weeks later, and let's check in. So, again, it wasn't a full blown, it's a strength thing. That's what everybody thinks it is. Okay. It was more, hey, we got to shut off some muscles, inhibit, turn them down a little bit, so you could learn how to find new things to get them stronger. Don't get me wrong. You had some weak glutes, but it's not just a pure, your butt was super weak and we just had to strengthen it and you were fine. That's not how this works. But no, you're doing fantastic. I know you're going to do great with all of your running. I think we kind of found the right tools and training load, all of that type of stuff. That you got good things coming to you in the next season and whatnot. But I just wanted to thank you for coming on here and talking about your experience.
Yeah. I want as many people to know and understand, how important what shoe you're wearing is, and how easily you can fix these things if you're struggling. So
you just got to find the right people.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again, Vaughn. Happy New Year.
Yes, you as well.
And then we will see you when you get back. All right. And whenever you need to do a check-in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.